Hello and welcome to this episode of Creating with Howcraft. My name is Denise Backmore of howcraftcollection.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create one of my Aqua Ice bracelets. We will be crimping the end of the bracelet. So the technique we will be learning today is how to crimp. The tools you will be needing to create a crimp bracelet are crimping pliers, chain nose pliers, wire cutters, and we will be needing round nose pliers to create a wrapped loop dangle. A complete list of the jewelry making supplies and beads, along with printable PDF instructions, can be found on howcraftcollection.com. Search Aqua Ice Bracelets. We will also be using beading wire. This beading wire is 0.46 millimeters, and you will be needing either crimp beads or crimp tubes. The great thing about Beadalon is that if you look at the front, it shows that this is 0.46 millimeters. And right there, it shows you size 1 crimp bead or size 2 crimp tube. You can always find the correct size crimp bead or crimp tube on the back. Also, if you go down here, 0.46, that's a crimp bead. It shows size 1. That's a crimp tube. It shows size 2. And then it also shows you their pliers and which size pliers to use. It's super important that you use the correct size crimp tube or bead when you're crimping your bracelet. I cut an 11-inch length of beading wire. Usually you have to have about 2 inches on each side to pass the wire back through and to crimp it down. So it's a good idea always to err on the side of caution when you're cutting your beading wire. Now we're going to string our crimp bead, or if you're using a crimp tube, it's completed the same way. So we strung the little bead, and then we're going to pass the wire back through. And at this point, the wire is crossed. You never want to crimp with your wires crossed. It can cause breakage. So we're just going to take that and we're going to move this side over so they're laying side by side. And we're going to move that bead up a little bit. And then we're grabbing our crimping pliers, and then we're going to the second notch. At this point, we can adjust our loop size before we press down. And now we're pressing down. And we have formed a little groove. Now we're going to come back into the first hole on our crimping pliers, and then we're going to crimp it again. And both the sides have flattened together, and that is how we crimp. Now we need to add jump rings to our beaded butterfly. These little beaded pendants were just added to howcraftcollection.com. So we're going to grab our 4 millimeter jump ring. This one's already open. This is how you open and close the jump ring. We're going to open that. And we're just going to attach the butterfly and close it. We're going to grab another jump ring, open it, attach it to the second jump ring, and then we're going to close it. And then we're going to grab one more bigger jump ring. This one's a 6 millimeter. We're going to attach that. And we're going to close that jump ring. Now we're ready to string our beads. Now we're going to start stringing our beads. We're going to string a 8mm dolomite. We're going to pass it through both of those wires. And then I'm using a couple of jump rings to add a little bit of gold accent. So we're going to string that. And then we're going to string 5 dolomite. And we're going to bring those down. We're going to move them up. And we're going to pass that wire through a couple of them. And then I like to bring it down, grab my wire cutters, move that up, and just trim off that little end. So our bead looks like this, or strand. Now I'm going to grab another jump ring, a dolomite, and then we're going to grab a 6mm dyed howlite, a metal dot bead, the dolomite, and a hematine bead. And then we're going to string our pendant. We're going to repeat this pattern on the other side of the bracelet. So we're going to grab the 6mm hematine faceted bead, the 8mm dolomite. These dolomites come in multi-packs, which are 4 8-inch strands of 4, 6, 8, and 10mm beads. Then we're going to string our gold tone metal dot bead, and then another turquoise dyed howlite, 6mm. And then 1 dolomite, a jump ring, 5 dolomite beads, 8mm, another little jump ring for a little splash of gold color, and our dolomite. We also need to pick up a crimp bead, and we're going to string our crimp bead. Now we're going to pass our wire back through the crimp bead and approximately 2 beads. We're going to bring it down a little bit. Move that down. They look like they're side to side. So we're going to move that down, making sure it's nice and tight. We're going to go to the second hole. I like to move it down, making sure it's nice and tight. And then we're going to pull that loop down a little bit. Then we're going to come in and press. Now we're on the first hole of the pliers. We're going to come back in, place it in the first hole, and crimp down. And it has folded over on itself and created the crimp. Now we're going to grab our wire cutters. We're going to come back in. We're going to grab that wire, making sure we're not cutting the other wire, and trim that end. Now we're going to form a little dangle. So we're going to grab a beaded head pin, and we're going to string our dot bead and our turquoise dyed howlite, and we're going to form a wrapped loop. So we're going to bend the wire back, move the pliers up, bend the wire towards you, move the pliers to the side, bend the wire back. We're going to turn it, and we're going to wrap 1, 2, 3. We're going to grab our wire cutters and trim that in, come back in with our chain nose pliers. We're going to flatten that wire down and flatten out the loop. Now we're going to attach a jump ring to our turquoise painted brass lentil. We're just going to string that, and we're going to close the loop. Then we're going to pick up another 6mm jump ring. We're going to open it up the end, attach it, and we're going to attach our little dangles to that end and close the loop. Now we're going to pick up a 4mm jump ring and our spring clasp. And we're going to attach that to the other side, come in, and close the loop. So you can add a couple little jump rings on the end to give it a little bit of added movement. Let's go ahead and connect this. See what our bracelet looks like. And there you have it, how to crimp a bracelet. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe at Howcraft USA. Follow us on Instagram at Howcraft Collection Beads. Be sure to visit howcraftcollection.com for more inspirational projects and for all your beading needs. Howcraft adds new beads every week to the website, and each week is a new great sale. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.